Hello again and welcome to another Morty and Glory, the old world video. In today's episode, we shall be casting our ever critical eye over another old world unit. And this time we are heading over to the Kingdom of Britonia. We shall be doing a review of the Knights of the Realm on foot. A new unit introduced with the launch of the old world. The Knights of the Realm on foot do look very badass, but are they any good? Well, there's only one way to find out. Let's kneel and pray to the lady and charge right into today's episode. As is tradition, let us begin with a brief overview of what the hell this unit actually is. Each Knight of the Realm has a movement of 4, a weapon skill of 4, a ballistic skill of 2, but it might as well be 0 because you have no way of shooting with them, strength 3, toughness 3, 1 wound, initiative 3, 1 attack, and leadership 8. You can upgrade one Knight of the Realm to be a first knight, and he has the same stat line as a regular knight, except he does get an extra attack. Each knight will cost 11 points, with the first knight being a 6-point upgrade. Now, these bad boys are counted as heavy infantry. This comes with a number of advantages, but most importantly, it means that if you do get flanked, it's going to take more than a couple of goblins to disrupt your ranks. On top of this, you come on a 25 by 25 mil base. This is kind of noteworthy because a lot of heavy infantry, for example, Chaos Warriors, are on 30 by 30 bases. By being on the smaller base size, it means you can have an extended front rank without all the disadvantages that you get with maneuverability with having an overly long front rank. So essentially, you can cram more choppy without having to go too widey. The minimum unit size for the Knights of the Realm on foot is 5+, but there is no maximum, so you can go as big as you want, but you have to have at least 5 of them in the unit. And they come equipped as standard with hand weapons, heavy armor, and shields. As for the unit's options, the entire unit may take great weapons in addition to what they already have for 2 points per model. But if you want to get rid of your shield, because you think, well, I'm not really going to have a great weapon and a shield because I can't use that shield in combat with a two-handed weapon, then you can replace your shield with a great weapon, but it will still cost you 1 point per model. Any unit may upgrade one model to a first knight, which we've already covered. You can also have a standard bearer and a musician, each one of these upgrades costing 6 points. The unit may purchase a magic standard worth up to 25 points, and a first knight may purchase magical items up to a total of 25 points as well. If you're wondering what 25 points will get you in terms of magical items, from the Kingdom of Britonia magic items, you can't get any weapons. You could get a talisman. You get the Mantle of Damsel Elena if you want your 1 wound first knight model to be immune to poison. Doesn't seem great. Or you could go for Cyrene's Locket, which makes you immune to multiple wounds. But considering you've only got 1 wound, again, doesn't seem like a great choice. You could go for the Gauntlet of the Jewel, which might be kind of interesting. And considering that is a very common magical item, this isn't the only one you'd have to put in your army. You could have it on this guy to maybe force your opponent to accept a duel with a character they may not want to, or it's interesting. There's a few. Having a Gauntlet of the Jewels guy is interesting for 5 points. However, you can't take the Antlers of the Great Hunt because even though that is 25 points, you need to be mounted. As for Britonian magical banners, there's only one that costs 25 points or less, and that is the Banner of Helens. And for 20 points, enemy units cannot declare a stand and shoot charge reaction against a unit carrying this banner. Interesting. Again, actually does have some use. Your Britonian foot knights probably will be charging in. I guess the big question is going to be, do you want this on the foot knights or do you want this on a unit of cavalry that will probably be making charges more frequently and from greater distances? As for magical items in the main book, in terms of weapons, you can go for the Sword of Swiftness, the Berserker Blade, the Sword of Might, the Biting Blade, the Sword of Striking, or the Burning Blade. For magical armor, you have the option of the Charmed Shield, the Enchanted Shield, the Armor of Meteoric Iron, or the Spell Shield. For talismans, you could get the Paymaster's Coin, the Obsidian Lodestone, or the Luckstone. And for magical banners, you could go for the Blazing Banner or the War Banner, with the War Banner actually not being a bad choice at all. Of course, there are the various potions that you could get, including the Potion of Strength, Potion of Toughness, Potion of Speed, and Potion of Foolhardiness. But unfortunately, the one that you probably really want in terms of enchanted items would be the Ruby Ring of Ruin. But that costs 30 points. So, so close, but you can't get it. If you could put a Ruby Ring of Ruin on a first night, it would be definitely something to consider. But sadly, it's just slightly out of your budget with this guy. Finally, we have the special rules. You get the Blessing of the Lady with the Knights of the Realm. So that does mean you'll have a 6 ward save unless something particularly hefty hits you. And then you have a 5+ ward save. You've got Close Order, which will give you that sweet, sweet +1 to your combat res. Furious Charge will give you +1 attack as long as you make a charge that's over 3 inches. And you get the Knight's Vow as well. So that's a quick rundown of the unit and its options, but now let's do the deep dive. Let's get into the nitty-gritty and consider what is the purpose of this unit and how might you use it on the battlefield. In my opinion, the purpose of Knights of the Realm is to give Bretonnians a solid unit of durable but also capable line infantry. This unit is meant to take a charge, absorb a charge, but also be able to actually do some damage back. Some of you might be thinking, well, surely men-at-arms will do that job better. And maybe you could definitely argue it. Men-at-arms, you can get almost 3 of them for every Knight of the Realm on foot. But here's the big difference. Your men-at-arms are going to die like piss. They're going to get cut down left, right, and center. Between the fact they've only got weapon skill 2, so pretty much everything above a goblin is going to be hitting them on 3s, and the fact that they do get light armor and shields, which gives them a 5-up save, but they don't get the Blessings of the Lady, so they're going to struggle for that ward save. Men-at-arms take charges, they absorb charges, and they're very good at doing that with shield wall and all that kind of stuff, but they can't really do any damage back, and all they're going to do is buy you time with their lives. Knights of the Realm, on the other hand, have weapon skill 4. This means that the majority of line infantry, and even some armies, elite or semi-elite stuff, is going to be hitting them on 4s. This makes it so they're more durable. Sure, you only get 1 for every 3 men-at-arms, but they're going to be taking physically less blows. You then come with heavy armor and shields as standard, which is going to give you a 4-up save versus the men-at-arms 5-up save. And then you also have the Blessings of the Lady, which is going to give you a 6-up ward. And if something particularly horrible hits you, you're actually going to have a 5-up ward save. So a 4-up followed by a 5-up and weapon skill 4. This is extra layers of durability there. You're getting quality versus quantity. On top of this, your Knights of the Realm on foot can also actually do damage back, because that weapon skill 4, combined with the fact that you could give them great weapons, is going to mean that you can take a charge, and if you're in a nice long line hammer formation, you can then hit back with a lot of strength 5 AP-2 attacks. It's also important to note that Knights of the Realm on foot are a little bit more flexible. They have that Furious Charge rule, which on the surface might seem at odds with their function as being a solid brick wall of metal armor. But if you find a situation where you do want to go on the offensive, you have that Furious Charge, which lets you actually do that, getting more attacks out of your guys. As someone who runs a lot of Empire State troops and who's also run a lot of dwarves, I can tell you there's such a difference between having a light unit like men-at-arms, like state troops, because they're great at absorbing charges. They can take casualties all day. But when you try and go on the offensive with them, often you find yourself in a bit of a dilemma where, like, I really want to do this charge, but there's a chance that I'm going to charge in and actually lose more on the attack. When you have a unit like Knights of the Realm on foot, not only do you have something that can take the charge, but when the opportunity presents itself for you to actually go on the offensive, you can do so without hesitation, because you know you've got the weapons and the quality there to actually go on the attack and do some damage. However, I would be lying to you, and therefore I'd lose the Blessing of the Lady, if I told you this unit was perfect. It does have some pretty big downsides. Firstly, they may be tough when compared to a unit of malnourished peasant men-at-arms, but they ain't that tough when looking at the wider context and other units that are available in the old world. Weapon skill 4 might allow them to go toe-to-toe with most other line infantry and some Horde Army's elite units, but the moment you come across anyone's true elite unit, like a unit of Chaos Warriors, and it's weapon skill 5, baby, they're going to be back to wounding you on 3s. And if they start hitting you on 3s, they're going to get more hits through, and unfortunately, you're only toughness 3. So if they hit you, they're probably going to wound you. And then that you are going to be relying heavily on that 4-up, followed by a 6-up, or followed by a 5-up, depending on what strength of the weapon. And thinking about that strength for a moment, if someone's hitting you with something that's high enough strength to trigger the 5+ ward, it's probably a great weapon. Or something else that has a mana of AP. And this is where I think the heavy armor and shields of the Knights of on Foot kind of lets them down. They look really, really, really heavily armored. I mean, people probably say the same thing about Chaos Warriors, but they look really, really heavily armored. And that 4-up is going to get kicked down to a 6-up very quickly if someone hits you with something powerful enough. And going to a 6-up, 5-up does not sound great. It's not as good as a 4-up, 5-up, that's for sure. And that's presuming that you are using hand weapon and shield and you're not wielding great weapons, which comes with its own disadvantages. Your strength 3. That ain't great. That ain't great at all. Again, as someone who's used a lot of Empire Spearmen, I can tell you right now, strength 3 does not touch the sides in most games of Warhammer the Old World. And sitting there, hiding behind your shield and praying to the lady that your 5-up wards come in handy. At that point, you might as well have just gone for men-at-arms, because they don't do any damage back either, but at least there's an absolute shed load of them so they can keep absorbing those casualties. So with all of that said, I think the best way to use this unit is to replace your shields with great weapons. You are going to give up a pip of armor, but you're going to have that 5-up ward, and you then will actually be able to do damage back. If I was facing off against your Knights of the Realm on Foot, and there were 2 units side by side, and one had swords and shield, and one had great weapons, I'm going to charge the sword and shield ones every single time. Because if I charge the great weapon ones, and they're in a bit of a line hammer formation, a defensive formation, I'm going to go in there, kill a few of them, and then they're going to chop the shit out of me. I, again, can speak from personal experience here. This is not based on Theory Hammer. I did that exact thing at one of the last taunts I went to with Dwarf Longbeards. I just absorbed the charges, and then I used great weapons to smack the shit out of people. But speaking of Longbeards for a moment, I think this might be the biggest issue I have with Knights of the Realm on Foot. They're cool, and they're tough infantry for Bretonnia, but again, when you compare them to Longbeards, they seem massively overcosted. A Longbeard, for those of you that are curious about it, costs 12 points a model. 13 points, to be fair, if you give them a great weapon. So that would be 1 point more than a Knight of the Realm on Foot. Okay? For that extra point, you are getting weapon skill 5 versus weapon skill 4. You are getting strength 4 versus strength 3. You're getting toughness 4 versus toughness 3. And you are getting leadership 9 versus leadership 8. Sure, the Knights on Foot are going to get Furious Charge, but if we're looking at a unit that's likely to be taking charges rather than giving them out, Longbeards are going to have the same amount of attacks as the Knights of the Realm on Foot. The big advantage that the Knights of the Realm on Foot have is they do have the blessings of the lady, whereas the Longbeards don't. But there is a magical banner, and yes, you do have to pay points for this, so absolutely that does need to be taken into account. But there is a magical banner that lets Longbeards get a 5+ ward save as well. And that's all the time, not just against certain strength weapons. So bringing all of this together, Knights of the Realm on Foot give the Bretonians access to a high quality unit that can absorb charges and is a good alternative to the massive ranks of low quality men-at-arms. However, when compared to some of the other units available to other factions, they do feel like they might fall short. But there's one thing we haven't taken into account, and very well maybe the most important factor when deciding whether to include these guys in your army or not. That's very simply the rule of cool. I don't know about you, but I really like the Knights of the Realm on foot models. They look absolutely badass, quintessential, heavily armored knights of medieval times. Oh, they look amazing. So whether they're good or bad, well, that kind of depends on whether you care about that kind of stuff when it comes to playing your games. But for me, I'm absolutely looking to get a unit of Knights of the Realm on foot just because they look absolutely epic. Of course, all of that is just like my opinion, man. Let me know what you think down in the comments section below. Do you think that these Knights of the Realm on foot are a worthy addition to your Bretonnian host? Or do you think you're going to stick to men-at-arms and mounted knights in a more traditional Bretonnian style? If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to smash that like button and also subscribe to never miss an episode. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian Glory Hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing. Truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full-time without the incredible and generous support of my members. So thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Alex Dengal, Bonbon Vert, Lord Pryor, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, Try Again Bragg, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, and August Barney. Seriously guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video, and of course, as always, see you guys next time.